So this is a little test I'm running tonight. Did a mock-up of what I want to do as my first layout, and I'm not happy with it. So what I've done is I've got this board. It's a little warped, but it's good enough for my testing. I've been debating putting grades into the layout. I mean, there's a lot of layouts you read, hey, 3 degrees, 4 degrees, short shelf layouts, because right now this shelf here, I'll scroll a little quick. This shelf I've got is 2 foot wide, and it's 12 foot long. It's some old modules that I never used. I'm going to just deploy those. And I painted it in base color, so I'm kind of ready to start tinkering a bit more. But back to this. So the grade is a variable grade. This board is warped, so the low point is right here, and the high point is there. And just to give you perspective, this current grade measured from the low point to the high point measures out to 2.9% grade. And I've been tinkering with my little 44 tonner here. This little 44 tonner tips the scales at, what did I figure it out? Normally weighs 4.38 ounces, give or take. And with 4 of those, or with that 4.5 ounces, a little under 4.5 ounces, I can haul 4 of these coal cars. Now each one of these coal cars have weight in them, so these each weigh, give or take, 3.5 ounces each. So I found with testing on a 2.9% grade, with just the engine, I could get 4 of them. A bit of trivia, 5 quarters equals 1 ounce. If they're not too worn out, 5 quarters equals 1 ounce. So I have 2 ounces of quarters stuck between the handrails here. So now the locomotive is just over 6 ounces. And with that 6 ounces on a 2.9% grade, I can just barely get these 6 cars up. So I'm going to do a little more testing here, but I kind of want to know what I can and can't get away with. My bottom line for this locomotive is if I can't get 4 cars, I need to be able to get 4 cars moving around at any one point. So now I know that 2.9% grade is the absolute worst this thing will do with that load, with weighted cars. I mean, if I used, you know, some of these cheap plastic cars, I'm sure these rail boxes, what are these toy rail boxes weigh real quick? 3.7, so actually they're heavier than the coal cars. Those are weighted. Yeah. There's some decent weight to them. But, so like next I'm going to test this GP9. And this thing weighs in at 15.1 ounces. So let's see what it can do. So as no surprise, the GP9 with 6 cars on the 2.9% grade. Barely slows down. So let's ramp it up a bit. We'll see if I can merge the videos. Maybe I can't. So I ramped her way up. And you can see how badly twisted the board is. But basically, it's now going from there to here is now the point. So I'm actually starting on a slight incline. The board is warped, so actually the grade is probably a little steeper than overall than I'm planning. But it's a nice smooth transition up. This is 4.5 inch rise over 82 inches, which works out to about a 5.4% grade with this 15.1 ounce locomotive and 6 3.5 ounce cars. And not only does it have no problem going up the hill, but I have no problem stopping it and going forward again. So I'll bring her back down and see what else I can do with this thing. Okay, pause. And this is getting kind of silly, but because I can't really add more cars because of the short test track, I've stuck box cars inside the coal cars. I've stuck some quarters inside the coal cars. So before my full weight of the towing train is 21 ounces, I'm now at 35.7 ounces. So we're well over 2 pounds of cars behind this thing now. Or the rough equivalent would be that I've gone from 6 cars to 9. And just for fun, see what happens. So we're still on this 5.4 grade. Yeah, just a reminder, this isn't a straight line. If this was a curve, I'm sure I'd be stalled out by now. But no problem getting up the hill. In fact, even if I stop, I can still go forward again. So I can start on a grade with well over 2 pounds behind this locomotive. So and for my layout plans and my designs, that basically means I can carry 8 cars behind this locomotive on a 5% grade, 5.4% grade, and not have a problem. So for my testing right now, this is okay. But what else can I do here? Okay, in the real world, the whole reason for an SD9 as opposed to a GP9 is the weight is 50% higher, and therefore the extra need for 2 extra motors, and in theory 50% more pull. In reality, this one only weighs 16.5 ounces. So performance wise, it's probably going to be about the same as the GP9. Okay, so not what I was expecting. Again, these 2 locomotives are about the same weight. The track profile hasn't changed. We're still at a 5.4% grade. That's a 15.1 ounce locomotive. This is a 16 ounce, I think is what 16.1 ounce, I think is what I measured. I'm sorry, I forgot, it's been a couple minutes. We've got 35.7 ounces of weight behind the locomotive. Now the black locomotive, the New York Central GP9, dragged her right up the slope. And I was even able to stop on the slope and then accelerate forward again. Okay, if you're playing at home, guess what's about to happen here? So we're going to go up this hill. Oop. Had the silly thing in reverse. We're going up the hill. She's struggling, but this is what surprised me. Oh, hang on. I got to redo this. She came apart. This time for sure. Yeah, now watch, it's not going to do it. It did it last time, but you can actually hear it starting to slip. So starting to grind, starting to grind, starting to grind. Now we're slipping. Some of them were slipping. Okay, it didn't do it as much this time. But the first time I did this, this thing slid backwards. And I don't know if it showed in the video or not. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there we go. There's enough weight and there's enough slack action that it made the train roll back several inches. Now, just trying to go forward, and again, we're slipping hard. I'm sure you can hear it. That'll kill the engine. And she's sliding backwards down the track. The train's dragging the locomotive back down the hill. So, yeah, I was actually surprised by this. So there was actually less traction on the 6 axles with a slightly heavier locomotive than there is with the 4 axles. So, not in real life apparently, folks. But that does raise a point. What's the save point for my SD9? So I'm not going to go into it too much, but this end is now 3.75% grade. This locomotive can make it no problem, hauling the hybrid mess of weight behind it. So I'm going to test a couple other locomotives, just see what I can get away with. I mean, I'm guessing I could probably go 4 without too much trouble, because this just barely couldn't make 5, so I'm pretty sure 4 would be safe. In fact, I should just tune it to 4. Let me tune it to 4. Okay, like I've said before, these videos are mostly for me, but I brought this thing up to 4%. Now that's a 4% overall, which means from about here to the end of the black. That's an average of 4%. Now the reality of it is this is a sloping. This board is not flat, it curves. I don't know how I'll show it in the video, but this curves. But my ruling grade, I'm calling it 4%. So should have no problem getting up it. And also, this is a bench lines, because I know I'm going to make mistakes and my grades won't be perfect, so I'll stop it at 4%. Okay, we're not sliding backwards, we have no problem getting going forward again. Yeah, tiny mouse slip, nothing major. Come back down. So that's going to be my benchmark, 4% grade in a straight line. Curves, screw it up royally. 4% grade on a, I remember what John Armstrong used to do. I think of like an 18-inch radius added like 40% to the mass. I don't remember. I'll look it up, see if I can find it later. Back in a second. Honestly, I forgot. I think I screwed this video up, so I'm going to redo the 44 tonner. I mentioned in the previous video I was going to tack on, but I'm not going to waste my time. So this thing weighs 4.38 ounces. I have 3 cars behind it. Each one weighs 3.5 ounces. This is less than what I want. I'd like to have 4 cars like that. But let's see if she can do the 4% grade. 1 second. Oops, shells on that, backwards on that one. Okay, 4% grade with a 44 tonner. And again, it's an overall 4%, so towards the end it's actually more than 4%, but I'm making this my baseline in case I screw up. And I think she's going to make it. I can hear it slipping, but it's still going. Just try. I can barely do it, but I can get the cars going again. That's kind of what I want. So just an edit for myself. 44 tonner, 4 3.5 ounce cars. We stall on tracks. We can't do the whole 4% grade. But we kind of knew that already. I could probably add, actually, we did this before in the other video, but I don't think I made it on this one. Five quarters equal, or 10 quarters, 5 quarters equals an ounce, 10 quarters equals 2 ounces. So 5 in the front, 4 in the rear. Let's try that. So this adds basically 50% more weight to the 44 tonner. This makes it a 66 tonner. I can hear some slipping on it. Stopped. Takes work, but it can start going again on a 4% grade. And we got a Bachmann 70 tonner, and just for giggles, it is 5.5 ounces. I actually really like this locomotive once it gets broken in. Still needs a little work, but it's getting there. So let's see if it'll take We got 4 on the back, so what did I say this thing weighed again? Sorry. Oh, 5.5 ounces. Okay. So we've got 4 cars behind it. Shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, no problem stopping and starting again on the road. Okay, so 5.5 ounces, 70 tonner. Another test. This time we got 5 of these 3.5 ounce cars behind it. This should probably push its limits. We're sliding pretty good, slipping, sliding. Stop, see if we can start again on the grade. Spinning, sliding, or slipping. No, I'm going to call it at 4 cars is good enough for this thing. You know what, since I'm here, I'm going to do these quick. So this is a little Bachman. It's a 260 locomotive. It is DCC. If you look, find these and show a check in the bottom, so check for DCC there. But the locomotive with its tender is 9.7 ounces. Now I know it's kind of an unfair measurement because it's just the pulling power of the locomotive, but you're never going to run a locomotive without the tender, so let's count them together. 9.7 ounces. Okay, now for this test, I know I'm not going to get 4 cars or 5 cars up. We'll try for 4, but I'm guessing we're not going to even get that. So let's see how steam does today. And put it forward. So 4%, she's grinding up the hill. Yeah, I think we'll call it there. We're not even, we're still 18 inches from the top. No, 27 inches from the top. So we're going to back her back down, take off a couple cars and try again. Funny is you can hear it slow down once it gets off the hill because the cars have unloaded and they're not helping pull it down. You know what, I'm going to be pessimistic. I'm going to declare that 2 cars can come off. So we're just going to have 2 7.5 ounces of cars behind this thing. Let's try it again. Just going to watch from here. Still going. Still going. Wow, it made it to the top. Let's back it up a hair. Okay, will she start from slacked out? It will. Okay, better than I thought. So, 1 second, let me add another car. this fun sometimes. Okay, so anyways, part 3 of the video. This is probably going to be part 2, but again, like I said, I make these more for me than anybody else. So I redid this test with 3 cars behind it, so that's 3.5 ounce cars each, so that's 10.5 ounces of weight. I redid it because this one went off the tracks on the way up. She struggled. I'd argue that that's half a car too much weight. I was curious how well this did given its massive weight. And so I thought I'd reweigh just the locomotive. I want to see what kind of tractive force we've got going. And the locomotive is tipping the scale at 7.3, so it's actually heavier than both the 44 tonner and the 70 tonner. So not bad for something that was supposedly a eBay buy because it didn't work right. And last for the grade challenge is a locomotive I didn't even mean to own, never meant to buy. I got this by accident, an eBay sale. I zeroed out the track. This is a Broadway Limited 282 Great Northern. It's got sound. I've got a DCC chip in it. So she's tipping the scale at 18.84 ounces. There we go. Focus. There we go. 18.84 ounces. So she's well over a pound. Pound and a quarter. No, not quite. My math's off. Pound and an eighth. So we're going to throw this on some cars and see if it's like a grade. Okay, so we got it hooked up. Yeah, and I doubt we'll have any trouble here. I've only got 3 cars behind it. I think I'm going to put a 4th one on right away. Sounds are cool when they work. Yeah, so we have 4 3.5 ounce cars behind this 18.8 ounce monster locomotive. And we're going to try to go up the hill with it. Sorry, a little momentum turned on. And you know what? This thing lurches. That's the problem with the locomotive. I don't know what's wrong with it. No problem stopping on a grade. No problem getting going. So we'll bring it back down. And we're going to kill the sound for the rest of this. There we go. So we're going to be quiet. This thing doesn't run smooth, and I don't know what's wrong with it. I don't know if something's out of true, if something binding. I'll get to these, but you'll watch as I do these videos. It lurches really bad. So I'm going to add a couple of cars. Actually, I went back to the stupid. I put the 35.7 ounce train behind the locomotive. Sounds off in case you don't hear it, but I'm going to see if it'll take the hill. Okay, not only does it take the hill, 4% grade, no problem. Stops dead center. So this is actually my most powerful locomotive so far. So I just wish I knew why it lurched so bad. And I'm going to turn the momentum on. I'm going to just do a slow-mo video of this. I'll do it on 5. And I'm just going to force so you can see what I'm talking about the lurching. Ooh, forgot about momentum and almost ran it off the table. That'd have been bad. Okay, I'm done for tonight with doing this stuff, folks. Again, these are for me, but if you enjoyed, hey, catch you later. Bye.